3 lockdowns, 3 strangers, 3 close calls that still haunt the people who lived them.
I was just 16, a junior in high school, and my astronomy class was one of only 2 rooms buried in the basement. Everyone called that wing the chamber. It was cold from the AC, always quiet, and, unlike the rest of the school, there were no intercoms down there. No bells, no announcements, just silence and concrete walls. Walking down that hallway alone always felt more like entering a bunker than a classroom. That day, we had a quiz. I finished mine early, bored out of my mind, and texted my buddy JJ. He was in the other basement class. I told him to meet me in the bathroom so we could mess around. A few minutes later, he came in, grinning. JJ had just checked his phone. A message said the school was on lockdown, but since no one saw us leave class, we thought we had the whole school to ourselves. It felt like a game at first. We decided to sneak upstairs, figuring we could just claim we never heard the announcement. But the second we pushed open the basement door, the hallway stopped us cold. Every light was off. The entire main floor stretched out in pitch black, except for the faint daylight bleeding in through the lobby doors. Lockdowns usually kept the lights on. This was different. This was real. JJ took a step forward, squinting into the darkness. Then he froze. He whispered,
"Who's that?"
I followed his gaze. From the far end of the hall, a figure emerged, slow and deliberate. At first, we thought maybe it was a teacher, but the closer he came, the more obvious it became. His clothes were ragged, filthy. He didn't belong there. We bolted back down to the basement and darted into the bathroom. First thing, I killed the lights. No vents, no humming AC, nothing but the sound of our own breathing and the occasional drip of the sink. Then the bathroom door creaked open. A slice of light from the hallway spilled across the tiles. Someone had followed us inside. His footsteps came closer, slow, heavy. Then the breathing, loud, strained, right outside the stall. JJ panicked, whispering that we should crawl out. But even that whisper carried across the tiled room. The breathing stopped. The stall handle jiggled, then it rattled, then slammed. I hissed at JJ to go. We scrambled under one stall, then another, until finally we burst out the far side. The man pounded the stall behind us, furious. We sprinted to JJ's class door, pounding until the teacher yanked us inside. Through the window, we saw him, staring, banging, a gun handle sticking out of his pocket, and then he walked away. For over an hour we sat in that locked classroom, silent except for our teacher's nervous questions. When police finally cleared us out, we filed upstairs in single file. Outside, flashing lights filled the lot. We described the man, but the truth, they never told us if they caught him. All we know is after that day, cameras went up in every hallway. And I still believe if we hadn't crawled out of that stall, we'd never have walked out of that school. Story 2. A retired cop's most disturbing lockdown call.
I'm a retired New Jersey police officer. In 20 years on the force, I saw my share of chaos, robberies, domestic disputes, even violent crime. But one call still keeps me up at night. It was a stormy afternoon, rain coming down so hard it blurred my windshield. Dispatch came over the radio.
Unit 42, respond to a possible intruder.
Middle school lockdown in progress.
A suspicious man had been spotted stepping out of a white van parked behind the school. Witnesses said he slipped in through the back door by the boys' locker room. Even after all those years, I felt a cold knot in my stomach. Schools and kids, those were the calls you prayed would turn out to be false alarms. I pulled into the rear lot and parked directly beside the van. Plain white, no markings. Looked ordinary, but ordinary vans can hide the worst things. I checked the doors, all locked. Windows tinted just dark enough that I couldn't see inside. I took a deep breath, unholstered my flashlight, and stepped through the gym hallway door. Immediately, the air changed. The main lights had been cut. The entire school was swallowed in shadows, only exit signs glowing faint red. My boots echoed on the tile, louder than I wanted. Gun in my right hand, flashlight in my left, I started down the hall. Every creak, every echo made me think, he's in here, he's waiting. As I reached the lobby, a woman cracked open the front office door. She whispered urgently, barely moving her lips.
"Check the boys' locker room. Be careful, he might be armed."
Her voice was trembling. Behind her, I caught a glimpse of kids huddled in the corner, teachers pressing fingers to their lips to keep them quiet. That was all I needed. My heart was pounding, but I nodded and turned back down the hallway toward the locker rooms. The air felt heavy, like the storm outside had followed me in. I eased open the locker room door, pitch black, no windows, only my flashlight beam cutting across rows of lockers. The air vent hummed above me, filling the silence with white noise. But beneath it, faint at first, I heard it, scratching, like fingernails or metal tapping against steel. I moved between the rows, every step echoing. The noises seemed to shift, always just out of reach. Ding, clang, a soft thud. My finger tightened on the trigger. Part of me wanted to shout, "Police!" But the other part, the part that had survived 20 years, told me to stay quiet. The tension was unbearable. My throat was dry, my grip slick with sweat. Whoever was in there was playing with me. Then it happened. A muffled cry. A boy's voice, panicked, almost strangled. "Help!" The sound echoed off the lockers, impossible to tell where it came from. I swept my flashlight wildly until I saw it. A small hand pounding against the vented slats of a locker door. My chest sank. A child was trapped inside. I pressed my face close, whispering back, "Hang on, kid, I'll get you out." But he was crying, gasping, saying something about a knife. That's when the realization hit me like a brick. Whoever put him in there hadn't left yet. He was still nearby. I called for backup on my radio and bolted back toward the rear lot. Rain pelted my uniform as I sprinted through the exit. But when I reached the spot where that white van had been parked, it was gone. Just wet tire marks cutting through the puddles. My stomach turned. If the suspect had taken another child, we were too late. And the worst part? I hadn't written down the license plate when I first arrived. Rookie mistake. I cursed myself as I shouted into the radio for units to scan the surrounding streets. I rushed back in. The front office staff had arrived with a custodian, fumbling with a ring of keys. Within minutes, they had the locker open. The boy tumbled out, crying, bleeding from a shallow cut on his arm. He was trembling so hard I thought he might pass out. He told us the man had been holding a knife to his back, forcing him toward the van until he resisted. That resistance may have saved his life. Backup swarmed the school. Teachers ushered kids out single file, rain soaking their shoes as parents arrived in a panic. The boy's mother collapsed into tears when she saw him, clutching him so tightly he winced. That van vanished in the storm that day, but it didn't stay hidden. A week later, another officer spotted it idling in a 7-Eleven parking lot. When they approached, the man tried to walk off like nothing had happened, but the boy from the school identified him on the spot. He was arrested on the spot. They say justice was served.
But to me, that's never the end of it. What keeps me awake isn't his arrest. It's how close he came to succeeding. How easily a predator got into a school during a lockdown that was supposed to keep kids safe. In 20 years as a cop, I saw the worst people are capable of. But nothing shook me like that call. A boy locked inside a steel locker, bleeding and terrified, while the suspect slipped away right under my nose. That's the one that still haunts me. That's the one I'll never forget.
I was touring Rowan University, staying alone at a Hampton Inn. My family couldn't come, so it was just me, one night on my own. After dinner at a nearby restaurant, I went back to the hotel around 8 p.m., planning to rest and head back to campus in the morning. The hotel felt normal, calm, but that wouldn't last. About an hour later, a sharp alarm jolted me upright. A white strobe light flashed from the corner of the ceiling. Then a mechanical voice looped over and over.
All guests remain in your rooms. This is a lockdown.
I'd never even heard of a hotel lockdown before. At first, I thought it was just a drill or a malfunction, but the alarm didn't stop. Eventually, the alarm cut out, but the light kept flashing. I was considering calling the front desk when the phone rang. I answered, expecting reassurance. Instead, the voice on the other end was tense but calm.
Stay calm. Walk out of your room immediately. There's someone in there with you.
My blood froze. I dropped the phone and checked everywhere. Under the bed, empty. Bathroom, nothing. Then I noticed the sliding closet door cracked open just a sliver. At first, I thought it was nothing, until I saw it. A pale face, half hidden, peering through the gap. And then the door slid shut. I didn't think, I just ran. Out the door, down the hallway, straight to the front desk. Later, staff showed me security footage. A man wandering the halls, using a stolen key card to test doors. When he reached mine, he slipped in and hid, waiting. The police arrived and led him out in handcuffs. As he passed me, he looked straight into my eyes, like he knew me. Later that night, I couldn't even stay. I went to a friend's place across town, shaking. Thinking back, he may have been watching me for over an hour from that closet. That thought still makes my skin crawl.
If you liked this, subscribe for more true horror stories. Share any lockdown stories you've lived through in the comments. Stay safe.